Hello, good day. Jonathan here, Johnny. Uh, I'm going to be doing a little bit of like glazing. I'm just showing you some of the things I'm using. I'm using like a liquid light, medium, gel, just because it's kind of handy, and a raw sienna, and just applying kind of a coat there of the liquid to the area that I plan on painting today. This portrait been kind of playing with my daughter Daisy. Just getting a nice even little coat. This is in preparation of just so I can be able to scumble in, and if I want to later, I can like easily wipe it all off and start over. And just use my favorite palette in the back of my hand, and using a brown bristle brush to apply the paint. Nothing really particular. And the raw sienna was a little bit too yellow, so I wanted to add a little bit of this burnt umber. Using these kind of liquid Winsor Newton water-based paint, just because I've got a ton of it laying around. And just very little bit about paint. Mix it up there, nothing real particular, and just kind of applying it. If you can see, it kind of creates this, just kind of tints it. One of my like people that I always kind of look to is the William Bouguereau. He's like hated, but he's always really inspirational, like just for his technical abilities. And along the lines, I read about how he earlier on was like a lithograph tinter. So it used to be like to add color to like photographs, you would like have to hand tint it. And looking at his paintings, always kind of thought about like how his early experience of tinting lithographs and photographs would have like influenced his painting techniques, and kind of using it as applying to like how to use applying of glazes. Usually like to start with like a yellowish kind of glaze, go into like, if you look at your like photo printer, it usually prints like yellow first, and then it prints up the red, and then it prints up the blue. And I kind of use that kind of same kind of strategy where I apply the raw sienna first and then add in the red second. And just trying to give you a quick little demo how it kind of just slightly tinted it to give it more of a little bit of a flesh tone to it. And but often like you have to kind of add a little bit of yellow to the final blue, like in order to kind of level it out. Otherwise, it just it's a lot of a plane, but it's like using this scumbling technique to apply the color kind of quickly, and then wipe it out, clean out the brush, kind of bring back some of the highlights. More of it's just kind of a push and pull and play and seeing if I like it. And if I tell I don't like it, I can wipe it all off later to demonstrate somehow adding a little bit more of the color. I'm going to add a little bit more of the red or raw sienna, which is like a brown, to give it some of the flesh tone or red. Like cheeks and noses and lips there are always kind of like more red, more of the capillaries coming toward the surface, and kind of recreating that whole process there. Yeah, just using this mostly for like demonstrative purposes right now. I'm not exactly sure if I'm happy with the end results, but I'll restart over. But trying to share with you this quick little way thing. One of the books that I looked at when I first started painting was always looked at this like Salvador Dali, like secrets to 50 magical secrets to painting, and he goes into all these like kind of vague descriptions of things, and it really gives them. And if it's not taken like literally, but if you take it literally, sometimes it gives you a lot of insight into it. It describes a lot of like the working properties of the paint and just weird conversations that he has, and feel like that was like one of the heavier influences in like my desire to paint. I don't think I paint anything like him, or like I think I alluded that I just do this kind of heightened drawing thing. But busting out with some vermilion. This vermilion color isn't is different from it's a synthetic color, so when you add white to it, it kind of changes itself to like more of a pink color. So I'm hesitant to use it with white. So it's more of like a more of a glazing color for me, where the burnt sienna and the earth color, the raw sienna or raw sienna and burnt umber, there or earth colors. So when I add white to them, they kind of gray. So in a process where I want to make more like cohesion with grays or playing with the white into it, I would use those and would refrain from using these more modern synthetic colors that have a tendency to shift mass tone when I added white to it, and so it decreases that ability for it to like kind of tidy everything together with this kind of gray. Um, this way I working is like just thinking of grays. Maybe just a dismal person. I've always been kind of compared to Eeyore when I was like Eeyore. No, no. But I always found Eeyore kind of like a really lovable person. Not that I want to be. Sorry, not to make it about me, but just so. But it's a lot of this playing here. Just so I've kind of wiped it all out. But what it does is it kind of tints the color below it and stains it. And so like, just a little bit goes a long way to moving it. And I'll redo this process several times, or I'll spend a whole day doing this play of sorts. Um, Maybe sometimes it's like more, what do you call it, systematic, and adding more layers to it. And primarily, I'm working from this like dark to light process where I kind of like started with the darker drawing and did lines with the browns, and then I added the gray layer, and then slowly kind of building up these um, the form and with the color. There's different ways with the going with it, but this is the way I'm kind of working with this. This works really good when I'm like not always having a lot of uh, like dedicated studio time where if I know from early on when I start the painting that I'm not going to be real dedicated toward it, I can do this kind of process that is very forgiving to um, not going back into it. If I wanted to work more quicker, I would more exaggerate the chromatic um, uh, gray underpainting where it would be this plain with red with blue green and neutral grays to create the form, and that would kind of identify later. So the underpainting, like initially, would look like really close to what the end would look like, but it would have a lot of um, dry or chalky kind of surface to it, and then the glazing would kind of bring out the brighter hues. And that's where I'm kind of like that's why I wanted to bring in this vermilion, even though I think it was like kind of premature. But just to kind of make an example of this. So maybe like when I go back into some other paintings like later, you'll kind of see where I'm coming from and what the like an overview here. Um, so the red really brings into the life there and kind of takes away some of that yellow jaundice thing that happens. One of the things is that the medium of the liquin, it's has a yellow tint to it. So not to treat it as a clear but to treat it as a yellow, like a really fine yellow when painting, and know that it as it ages a little bit, it tends to yellow. So using thinner layers or using it as the under layer of yellow is really kind of a lot of the dictating like the decision making of the making of the paintings. Uh, just trying to share my thoughts. Thank you.